Welcome back to the channel, your source for in-depth analyses of global economics and geopolitics. Before you get into today's engaging topic, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell to never miss an update. Africa is stirring to life. For centuries, the continent has endured and persevered through struggles such as colonialism, poverty, and conflict. Sure, the revised text is, however, a new story is starting to take shape. Africa stands as the world's youngest continent, boasting a rapidly growing population and abundant natural resources. This positioning makes it an exceptional investment opportunity and a crucial contributor to the worldwide economy. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, have all acknowledged and embraced this incredible potential. They perceive Africa as a promising land, offering opportunities not only for themselves, but also for the continent as a whole. Their burgeoning influence undoubtedly raises significant questions. Are we entering a new era of collaboration, or are we witnessing yet another frantic race for resources? Africa unequivocally rejects being a pawn in someone else's game. African nations are unwavering in their resolve to chart their own course and control their own destiny. The world is watching. This is the account of how Africa is confidently navigating the intricate geopolitical landscape, forging new alliances, and rightfully claiming its place on the global stage. In order to grasp Africa's current circumstances, it is essential to delve into its historical background. The legacy of European colonialism, popularly known as the Scramble for Africa, has deeply wounded the continent, leaving lasting scars. Throughout the late 19th to mid-20th century, European powers ruthlessly exploited Africa, plundering its resources and subjugating its people for their own benefit. They deliberately ignored existing ethnic and cultural groups when drawing borders, which directly paved the way for future conflicts. They forcefully imposed their own systems of governance, subverting traditional power structures. Through their actions, they amassed enormous wealth while leaving Africa drained of resources and hindered in its development. The enduring impact of colonialism undeniably lingers over Africa to this day. It's visible in the continent's economic struggles, political instability, and ongoing conflicts. But it's also a reminder of Africa's resilience and its determination to break free from the shackles of the past. The BRICS countries, each with its own history of colonialism and exploitation, are keenly aware of this inheritance. They assert themselves as partners, not colonizers, offering a different model of engagement. But can they really escape the ghosts of history? The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are significantly ramping up their engagement with Africa as the West grapples with its own internal challenges. These emerging economies are seizing the opportunity to fill the void left by traditional Western powers. They are proposing a different approach to development, one that is based on trade, investment, and mutual respect. BRICS aims to establish mutually beneficial partnerships, unlike the over-criticized aid models of the West. But their motives are not entirely altruistic. Each BRICS nation has its own strategic interests in Africa, and these interests often align with their broader geopolitical goals. China views Africa as absolutely crucial to its economic growth, as the continent's vast mineral wealth and agricultural potential are essential for sustaining China's rapid industrialization. In its pursuit to reassert global influence, Russia strategically partners with Africa to counterbalance Western dominance and secure access to new markets and resources. India and Brazil, as emerging economies, are determined to expand their markets and secure access to resources. India is keen on Africa as a growing market for its goods and services, while Brazil is focused on identifying opportunities in the agricultural and energy sectors. South Africa is the newest member of the BRICS Club and the only African nation in the group, providing the coalition with a direct link to the continent and significantly enhancing its credibility and influence. South Africa plays a crucial role as a bridge between the BRICS nations and the rest of the continent, steadfastly advocating for African interests within the BRICS framework and actively promoting BRICS initiatives across Africa. The BRICS nations are strategically using economic diplomacy and soft power to capture the hearts and minds of African nations. They are executing cultural exchange programs, providing educational scholarships, and collaborating on media to solidify goodwill. They are investing in infrastructure, providing aid and loans, and promoting cultural exchanges. These efforts are aimed at nurturing long-term relationships and creating a conducive environment for BRICS businesses. But their increasing impact is not without its critics, who express concerns about neocolonialism and debt-trap diplomacy. Some argue that the BRICS nations are simply substituting Western powers in exploiting Africa, leading to worries about sovereignty and economic self-reliance. China's grand plan, the Belt and Road Initiative. No conversation about BRICS' influence in Africa is complete without mentioning China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. This initiative is a cornerstone of China's foreign policy and economic strategy. This ambitious project, launched in 2013, aims to connect China to the rest of the world through a network of roads, railways, ports, and other infrastructure projects. The BRI spans over 60 countries, touching nearly every continent, and is often compared to the ancient Silk Road in its scope and vision. Africa is a key part of the BRI. The continent's strategic location and abundant natural resources make it an attractive partner for China. China has poured billions of dollars into infrastructure projects across the continent, from railways in Kenya to ports in Djibouti. These projects are designed to improve connectivity and facilitate trade, which is expected to spur economic growth. These investments have the potential to transform Africa's economies, but they've also sparked concerns about debt sustainability and Chinese influence. While some see these projects as a path to modernization, others worry about the long-term financial implications. Critics argue that China is using the BRI to create a debt trap, saddling African nations with unsustainable loans that they'll be forced to repay on China's terms. This has led to fears of a new form of colonialism, where economic dependency translates into political leverage. They also point to the lack of transparency in many BRI deals and the potential for corruption. The terms of these agreements are often not disclosed, leading to suspicions and accusations of unfair practices. They also point to the lack of transparency in many BRI deals and the potential for corruption. The terms of these agreements are often not disclosed, leading to suspicions and accusations of unfair practices. Proponents of the BRI argue that it's a win-win for both China and Africa. They believe that the benefits far outweigh the risks, and that the initiative is a catalyst for development. They say that the infrastructure projects will boost economic growth, create jobs, and improve living standards. By building roads, railways, and ports, the BRI is expected to open up new markets and opportunities for African businesses. They also point out that China is simply filling a void left by Western nations, which have been slow to invest in Africa's development. In many cases, Chinese investments have brought much-needed infrastructure to regions that have long been neglected. Beyond infrastructure, the BRI has also fostered cultural and educational exchanges, with thousands of African students studying in China and numerous joint ventures being established. This has helped to strengthen ties between China and Africa, creating a foundation for future cooperation. As the BRI continues to expand, its impact on Africa will be closely watched. Whether it will be seen as a new dawn of prosperity or a new form of dependency remains to be seen. What is clear, however, is that the Belt and Road Initiative is reshaping the economic landscape of the continent. Russia's playbook: military muscle and energy deals. While China is building bridges and roads, investing in infrastructure projects that aim to connect the continent and boost economic growth, Russia is flexing its military muscle and striking energy deals, focusing on a different kind of influence. Russia has a long history of involvement in Africa, dating back to the Cold War. During that era, the Soviet Union provided support to various liberation movements and governments. But in recent years, it's been ramping up its engagement, seeking to re-establish its presence on the continent. This renewed focus is part of a broader strategy to counter Western influence and secure its own strategic interests, including access to natural resources and new markets. Russia has been particularly active in the security sphere, providing military assistance to several African nations. It signed military cooperation agreements with numerous African countries, solidifying its role as a key security partner. Russia has been supplying arms and training to governments and rebel groups alike, often stepping in where Western nations have hesitated. This has raised concerns about fueling conflicts and instability, as the influx of weapons and military expertise can exacerbate existing tensions. Russia is also a major player in Africa's energy sector, leveraging its expertise and resources to gain a foothold in the continent's rich energy markets. It's one of the world's largest producers of oil and gas, and it's been investing heavily in exploration and production projects across the continent. These investments are not just about extracting resources, they also involve building infrastructure, such as pipelines and refineries, which can have long-term economic benefits for African nations. These deals give Russia access to vital energy resources, ensuring its energy security and providing a steady supply of oil and gas. For African nations, these investments bring much-needed capital and development opportunities, potentially boosting local economies and creating jobs. However, Russia's involvement in Africa has also been criticized for its lack of transparency, with many deals shrouded in secrecy. Critics argue that this opacity can undermine democratic institutions and lead to corruption, as deals are often made behind closed doors without public scrutiny. Some observers worry that Russia is propping up authoritarian regimes and exacerbating existing conflicts, prioritizing its strategic interests over the well-being of local populations. The challenge for Africa is to balance these foreign influences, ensuring that partnerships with countries like Russia lead to sustainable development and stability, rather than conflict and dependency. They're emphasizing shared values, mutual respect, and a commitment to working together to address common challenges.